Hey everyone, you know how sometimes you see those amazing professionally landscaped gardens and you just think, wow, that looks perfect? Well, today we're going to let you in on the secret. And trust me, it's a simple, super powerful idea that will completely change how you look at your own yard.
Yeah, just think about it for a second. When you walk through one of those gardens, there's this, I don't know, this harmony, right? A kind of natural flow that you can't quite put your finger on. It all just feels so effortless, like it was always meant to be that way.
So that feeling of just right, it's not an accident, and it's definitely not magic. It's actually a timeless design secret. And here's the cool part. Once you learn it, you are going to see it everywhere, from ancient gardens all the way to the most modern designs.
And you know what the best part is? It's not some crazy, complicated formula you need a degree for. Nope, it's a super straightforward technique that you can use to get that same amazing rhythm and purpose in your own yard. So let's get into it.
Okay, so what is this game-changing secret? Well, it's called the rule of three. The basic idea here is so simple, but it's also kind of profound. For whatever reason, our brains just love seeing things in odd-numbered groups, especially in threes. Think about it. A pair of things can feel a little predictable, right? But a trio? That creates movement and energy. It's just way more interesting to look at. Okay, so this really shows you what I'm talking about. On one side, you've got symmetry with even numbers. It can feel a bit stiff, you know? A little too formal, kind of like soldiers standing in a perfect line. But then you look at the balance you get with odd numbers. It just creates this beautiful natural flow. It kind of pulls your eye along for a little journey.
And here's a really important point. It's not just about plopping down three of the exact same thing. No, the real magic happens when you mix it up. Like the quote says, a group of three plants with different textures or colors adds so much depth. Or a trio of different objects can create this little scene that just grabs your attention.
All right, so we get what the rule is. But now let's dig into the why. Why does this simple trick have such a huge impact on how we see things? What's going on in our brains with the number three? Well, it really boils down to a few key things. First off, odd numbers just feel more organic, less forced. Think about wildflowers in a field. They don't grow in perfect pairs, right? They grow in natural-looking clumps. Second, it creates this awesome visual balance where one thing isn't screaming for all the attention. Third, it just adds more complexity and texture, which keeps our eyes interested and moving around. And finally, when you repeat these groups of three, you create a really nice rhythm that makes the whole garden feel connected. So really, what this all comes down to is that it's not just about randomly placing things. The rule of three is a super smart way to guide someone's eye through your garden, creating this beautiful journey that feels both intentional and completely natural at the same time. All right, enough with the theory, right? Let's get our hands dirty. Let's talk about how you can actually start using the rule of three. Think of this as your personal landscaping playbook.
We're going to break this down into four main areas: planting, hardscaping, color, and focal points. If you just focus on these four things, I promise you can start using this rule like today and see a huge difference.
Okay, let's start with the easiest one, planting. Seriously, this is where you can have a lot of fun with it. So instead of planting two shrubs side by side, go for three. But here's the pro tip. Vary them. Try one tall, one medium, and one low plant. Or maybe three plants with different leaf textures but similar colors. That's where you get that amazing dimension. Next up is hardscaping. And remember, this rule isn't just for your plants. Think about using a group of three matching planters on your patio. Or what about a cluster of three boulders, maybe a big one, a medium one, and a smaller one? That creates a really strong visual anchor and adds that same great rhythm. Okay, let's move on to something super important, color. And you can probably guess what the magic number is here. Yep, it's 3. Okay, this is a tip that can instantly make your garden look professionally designed. Instead of throwing every color you love out there, which can get a little chaotic, try limiting yourself to a palette of 3 main colors. It will still look super vibrant, but it'll also feel cohesive and intentional, not messy. It's amazing how much unity it creates. And finally, let's talk about your focal points, those star players in your garden. If you really want to make something pop, try combining 3 different materials. Imagine this: a beautiful stone water feature with a warm wooden bench next to it, and maybe some cool metal art or planters nearby. That mix of stone, wood, and metal? The contrast in textures is just wow. It looks so sophisticated and interesting. Okay, so we've covered a lot. Let's boil it all down. What's the one big idea you should walk away with today?
Here it is. The most crucial thing to remember is that the rule of 3 isn't just a little trick you use once. Its real power comes when you use it consistently. When you apply it across the board, to your plants, your stone paths, your color choices, that's when you create a landscape that isn't just pretty, it's unified, it's balanced, and it just feels alive.
And with that, I've got a question for you. Go take a look at your own outdoor space, right now. It doesn't matter if it's a huge yard or a tiny balcony. Where are you going to start? Where will you create your very first trio?